I always feel that the beginning of my downfall with the fear just wasn't the pandemic. I'm not scared to fucking die from a fucking cold. It wasn't the pandemic, but the pandemic was fucking with me. The thing that fucked with me the most was what my neighborhood had become.
Yeah.
And not from you telling me. You know how people tell you shit? No. What I saw.
Yeah.
And once I see something, that's it. I don't give a fuck what anybody tells me. I saw a guy get hit by a 4x4 in at the bus station in North Hollywood. We drove by thousands of times. I saw a guy hitting people with a 4x4, not a 2x4. Who leaves the house with a 4x4?
Jesus Christ.
Okay? I saw a fucking CVS, Studio City. I saw a white guy and an African-American hooker fighting at CVS at 10 in the morning in Studio City. I've been going to that fucking thing for 5 years, that CVS. That's where I got all my prescriptions and shit. I saw like 3 or 4 things. Then I had the glass door in my house. So I kept feeling that they were going to kick the front door in. So I went right to the Armenian, and I'm like, dog, I need a gun. We ain't got time to stand on line in Burbank. And he brought me like a fucking 45 with a bazooka and shit. And I gave him like $2,000. I go, don't come back without a gun.
Wow.
This motherfucker came back 3 days later with like a fucking AR-15 in a suitcase with a violin. I'm like, oh my God. So now one thing I don't like, I do not like weapons. I'll shoot you, but I don't want to have a weapon. I can't have a weapon.
You don't want to have a weapon, right? You don't want to feel that you need to have a weapon, though.
No.
You're worried
I
that
don't
just
ever want
the
to feel
energy
like
of it? Yeah, you don't want to feel like you need
messed
to have a
around
weapon.
with weapons for years. You know, I got in trouble with a weapon. And I always said that when I put weapons on, I met more people that had weapons on. Do you follow what I'm saying to you? When I was a civilian hugging people, I never felt a weapon. But when I put a weapon on in 86, for 3 years after I got arrested, most people I dealt with had a weapon. So I considered it a magnet. It was, for me, in my mind, it felt like a magnet of fucking bad shit. Those 2 guns I had in the house, it didn't feel right with me. You weren't going to bust into my house and, hurt my daughter or my wife. But having those 2 weapons in the house did not feel good with
California has very creepy laws when it comes to that, too.
I didn't give a fuck about the laws. I will get rid of that gun before the cops even get there. Trust me. I had 10 neighbors that were cool as shit. Take it like an OJ. Where'd OJ shit go to? You got neighbors.
Yeah.
You got neighbors. I killed the bitch, hide the fucking shirt, whatever. I just didn't like it. I didn't like having that weapon. I didn't like having a 45 in my car. Yeah. And then on the day I flew back here, I'll never forget that I had that. I gave him back the AR, and I had the 45. And the people called me, and they're like, are you bringing a weapon with you on the plane? Because I flew on a private plane. During COVID, I had the cats and shit, So I go, yeah, I'm going to bring the gun with me. And that night, I said, no. And I gave it to Brett. I called him next morning, I go, come pick up this fucking 45 from me. He still has it. He's holding it for me. I don't want it. That's how, I didn't like that fear.
Yeah.
When I saw Latin Kings spray paint on my daughter's school, Colfax Elementary, same school Bert sent his kids, that wasn't good. I just saw a lot of shit up there that I would never saw in the Valley. You see it in Hollywood, shit like that. So that's good that you brought that up because I forgot how scary it was. It was scary for a few weeks.
It got very strange because it got different. It felt like everybody was more on edge. I saw a bunch of lootings. It was crazy. Like someone broke into this clothes store. They smashed the windows and ran into it. And we were by this Target, and these people had blocked the door of the Target with a dumpster and lit the dumpster on fire. And they were telling everybody to get out of the building, put down whatever you're purchasing, run out of the exit right now. It got real weird with all that Antifa stuff. It got very strange. And people were emboldened to do things. And after the George Floyd death, when it was the riots and they lit the cop cars on fire, there was this real feeling, this real fuck the police, we're going to do whatever the fuck we want and no one's going to stop it. And the police seemed hesitant to do things too. And that was when I was like, check please. I was like, this is not the place. No one here is you got to recognize when things are changing and when they're not going to get better because there's no resources in place, there's no leadership in place, if you're defunding the police, that is a totally wrong approach to deal with an excess of crime. Like what you need is better funding, and you need better training and better people as police officers and better respect for police officers. You need to have an understanding that they're very, very necessary. And one of the things that people found is that as soon as crime starts fucking scaling up, in every city, people are calling for the cops. Even politicians in San Francisco that were actively like saying we should defund the police. They were tweeting we should defund the police. Then the crime starts kicking up. They're like, we can't even get the cops to come out. Like, why do you think that is? That's crazy. Maybe it's because you defunded them. I mean, you out of your fucking mind? Like, do you think that somehow or another having less police equals less crime? Like, that's the dumbest scenario. Like, what do you think everybody's going to get kumbaya on you? No, you're just going to embolden criminals and you're going to terrify people. And then things are going to scale worse and worse. And if you keep doing the same thing to try to fix it, it's never going to get better. And that's what you're seeing in Portland. And that's what you're seeing in San Francisco. It just keeps getting worse. And it's chaotic.
You ever go to a fucking club, like a club, and they're playing like disco music, and all of a sudden some fat fuck like me yells, "Put on Skinner," and nobody listens? Like, people are like, that idiot. When I heard the term debunk the police, that's what it felt like.
Defund the police, yeah.
Defund the police, put on Skinner.
Yeah.
Until people started saying, that's a great idea. And you're like, what the fuck? And that's what was going on. Too many people were yelling, put on Skinner, with different ideas at that point.
Yeah.
And you're like, what do you mean? Dog, listen, let's get something straight. You're going to hear this from me one fucking time. I was born a nice kid. Somewhere along the line, I lost my fucking way. Somewhere along the line, when you suffer a traumatic experience when you're a young man, you stay stuck for a few years. Or a young woman, you stay stuck. That's why women become, they become, what is that word?
Prostitutes?
No. When you like to fuck, the proximity, whatever that fucking word is.
Nymphomaniacs?
No, that's not the
Promiscuous.
word. Promiscuous.
Oh.
You know, when you suffer a dad or a mom or a grandmother you were tight with, you get stalled for a couple of years. I'm not making excuses. These are all proven things. You got to read this shit. You just don't grow until the reality comes to you of what happened. You're still in shock when your mom dies or your father dies. And somewhere along the line, I went off the rails. And I'm sorry for that. I never disrespected a cop, Joe. In all the stories I tell you, you never hear any disrespect of a police officer. Never.
Well, you knew cops.
Fuck that.
But that's part of it, too.
You know who raised me when I was a young kid? PAL. PAL. Police Athletic League on 88th Street in Amsterdam. I grew up in there.